Hello, you wonderful humans. Thank you for being here. It's Wednesday, it's 7 o'clock. That means it's time for our Wednesday weekly workshop where you get to ask Drew anything. This is your first time being here. Welcome. We are glad you are here, whether it's YouTube or Instagram. My name is Drew Detzner. I'm the owner of 3D Wellness. It's a natural health clinic here in New Berlin, Wisconsin. We specialize in helping people optimize their health through safe, natural means. We don't use any chemicals. We don't use any surgeries. Often it is said that we specialize in helping the people who have already been to the specialist. So the goal of these Wednesday weekly workshops is that they're always free, and we stream them live so that the world at large can ask us questions about health, and you can get free information. We also do this for all of our clients because there is so much that we want you to know. And typically inside of a single consult or a single visit with us, we can't get all the information that we ever want to get to you. So these workshops are a nice free way to get you additional information when you're one of our clients. Now, usually I start about what we've been working on for the week, and then I'll talk about, something that's pressing in my mind. And then we take questions. So we're still going to take questions. But tonight we got something very important to do. Black currant seed oil. We have a video on black currant seed oil. It's a supplement by Standard Process, and it's in this playlist that's over on YouTube called the ABCs of SP. And if you don't already know about that playlist, what I did was I went through and I made a 1-minute video on every Standard Process supplement so that people can learn about them better. There's information on the Standard Process website about Standard Process supplements, but it's different when you hear it from, okay, clinically, here's how we apply these nutrients versus what Standard Process can legally claim on their website. That playlist has been up for a little over a year now. It's got 154 videos in it, which really feels like a lot. And we just hit a milestone. There are 1,002 views the last time I checked on black currant seed oil. We have a video with more than 1,000 views now. Now, I know that's not Mr. Beast. It's not the biggest YouTube account in the history of YouTube, but it's a huge landmark for us. So we want to celebrate. The way we're going to celebrate, we knew this video was getting close to 1,000. So we took a screenshot of all the people who are subscribed to us on YouTube and subscribe to us on Instagram. I don't know if there's some overlap between the two. I know that there were hundreds and hundreds of different people who are subscribed to us. We jumbled up all the names and then we picked one. And this person is going to get a free consult with us. And I was thrilled about this. Just so you know, consult will be 30 minutes. If you don't live in the area, we'll do it via FaceTime or Zoom, or we can just do it on the telephone, okay? Now, when we pulled this name, I was thrilled because I was like, I know who that is, and I'm really glad that they won the free consult. So we need you to reach out to us. The winner of the free consult, can I get a drum roll, Two Boots? You can tell Two Boots is really back because there's a drum roll in the background. Woo-hoo. It is CN. CN has commented on YouTube a bunch of times. I think last week, CN was commenting on some stuff. I've spoken to CN on the phone. CN, please reach out to us. Give us a call, shoot us an email, whatever works best for you. You have a free 30-minute consult with yours truly to talk about whatever health topic you would like to. So we're thrilled about this. Now, of course, the goal is more videos with 4-digit views, and then get some videos with some 5-digit views. So if you haven't checked this out and you're taking some Standard Process supplement, head over, check out this playlist. You can learn about whatever of the Standard Process supplements you're on.
It's fantastic. Wow.
That's exciting. This week also marks the return of Two Boots. Two Boots, how's your trip?
It was out of this world.
Yeah? Right on.
Loved it.
Right on. That's really good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
There's a note up here that I put because a client came in and most consults with me go start by going over whatever questions you've had come to mind, and then we'll jump into talking about the food strategies and the supplement strategies we're going to apply. It's a new client, and she had good questions. It's Susie. Susie had good questions, and we're going over everything. I said, great, we covered what I wanted to cover, and you got to ask a bunch of questions. Is there anything else that you want to make sure I know about you before we wrap up this consult? And she said, yeah, I can't believe I didn't bring this up sooner. The all-day stomach pain that I've been having was gone within days of starting the program with you. It's like, that's incredible. I'm so glad to hear that. So her follow-up question was really intelligent. Drew, what is the supplement that's for my digestion, that's for stomach pain? I said, none of them. Okay. Now I want to go over this. Because this comes up for a lot of people. And we spoke about this a little bit last week, but it bears repeating. It is very commonplace in the human body that you will have a symptom somewhere. Let's say it's the skin on your stomach. But the cause of that irritated skin on your stomach is in a different spot. The symptom's over here, the cause is over here. And that is really, really common. So when I looked at Susie's supplement program, I wasn't giving her anything that I commonly use for pain. And I was only giving her stuff that's like general digestive support, not specific to the stomach itself. But what happens, we do a hair analysis here, and when we get that information back from the laboratory, we know a lot about our client's chemistry and what nutrients to apply to support their body. So sometimes the cause, or often I should say, the cause can be a missing nutrient. Well, what we've done is we've used the hair tissue mineral analysis to help us determine quite a few of the imbalances or the missing nutrients in the body. And when we correct those, we get the symptom to go away because we're handling what caused the symptom. So this is a beautiful thing. It's not chasing your symptoms around here. I want to hear your symptoms. I want my clients to know that I'm listening to them when they're describing what's happening in their body. And after I do all of that, I want to handle this.
It's that simple.
And it works. Yeah. All right, Two Boots, are there any questions rolling in?
No questions rolling in just yet.
Okay. Last week, it took a little time to warm everybody up, and then we got going.
All right.
So last week, Wednesday evening, where were you? Since you weren't here with us.
Oh, yeah. I was doing a sound bath in the middle of the jungle.
It sounds pretty good.
Oh, it literally vibrated my chest, my heart chakra, like halfway, 3/4 of the way through it. I was vibrating, something I've never experienced. And I've been to a lot of sound baths. It really was impactful.
Do you think it was the forest? Do you think it was the jungle, excuse me? Or what do you think?
Ooh, I can't put my finger on it, but this person, facilitator, just had some magic about him.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it was very powerful.
I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So she was getting a sound bath and we were talking nutrition. I think it's all good stuff. I bet you have questions.
I have a question. This is for my new friend, Sierra, someone I met on the trip in our group.
Oh, cool.
She has a son who apparently is a very picky eater.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of details other than what's been kind of your tips or tricks to get young kids to eat a little better.
Yeah, I like this. The topic of picky eater comes up often in here. And it comes up with people of all ages, not just kiddos. Okay. So the picky eater. All right, here's another one of my incredibly accurate, anatomically drawn.
What a square.
I get the biggest kick out of this. I am a nutritionist, not an artist. Leg, shoulders. I don't know. They're detached.
Wow.
Whatever. They're happy about it. They don't care. Okay. So with picky eaters, sometimes we think it's like an attitude problem. Okay. It could be. What I've also seen is that it could be a digestive ability problem. So inside of our torso, there's all these different organs. That are involved in digestion. So for example, gallbladders over here on a person's right side. That's involved in digestion quite a bit. We got the intestines below those. And there's small intestines and there's large intestines. We got a pancreas over here. And then we've got the good old stomach, not the whole thing, but the actual organ, the stomach. So what I've seen repeatedly throughout my career is that these 4 parts of our digestive system interact in the body like a 4-way intersection. So you got the gallbladder from one part of it, and you got the pancreas from another part of it, and you got the intestines, and you got the stomach. And if any one of these 4 areas is having an issue, is having some kind of dysfunction, poor performance, what it'll essentially do, let's say the stomach's having a poor performance, it'll kind of cause a roadblock inside that intersection. And it'll interfere with the performance of those other organs. So please keep in mind, it bears repeating that the entirety of your body is connected. You don't just have a stomach problem or just have a pancreas problem. You have a systemic issue that is primarily in the stomach or the pancreas. All this stuff is connected. It's how it all works together. So when we get that roadblock going from the stomach, let me actually use the red. Let me color code this. The stomach's having a problem and it's blocking that intersection. Well, the pancreas can kind of get through here, but the intestines are blocked and the gallbladder is blocked. So digestive performance is going to go down. And your brain receives that info. I spelled that wrong, didn't I?
I before E except after C.
That was after C, though.
Yep.
Was that right?
I before E except after C. Yep, you had it right.
That's right. All right, I was right. Cool. It's good to have you back. All right, brain receives info from your digestive tract, that tube, your digestive system. So what I've seen happen repeatedly, one of these major players in digestion, they all meet, one of them starts to cause a fuss, and the brain gets info from that part of the digestive tract that says, hey, we got a problem down here. We can't process that food you want to send here. So let's send that message back up to the brain and tell them to not want to eat that food. And the brain gets a message, oh, we can't process that food. We better not eat that food. It's just going to stress out our body. So what we have to look at is which area is having the most trouble, who's blocking the intersection, and then what nutrients do we use to resolve it. I'll tell you, gallbladder usually has to do with the digestion of fats. Stomach is usually when the person has trouble with digestion of proteins. Pancreas can be carbohydrates. Often it is. And the intestines is when the person is a picky eater and has immune issues related to food. Like they'll get a rash, they'll get very mucousy, like a stuffed nose or a runny nose, or watery eyes while they're eating. So with the picky eater, I'm thinking to myself, whenever I meet one of them, are there foods they are especially picky about, like their proteins, or they don't like to eat their fats? Let's support that specific organ and free up that intersection. So the info the brain receives is good info from the digestive tract. Hey, we're breaking down all this food. You can send some more of this down. We're almost satiated, so go ahead and slow down. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got a lot of parents I can send this information to.
I've seen it quite often.
Wow.
Yeah. You think that's what Sierra was looking for?
I think that's going to be very helpful.
Okay. So let me give an example. There's a supplement that hits stomach and pancreas, okay? So for stomach and pancreas, that combo is really common in small kiddos, just for the record. There's a supplement by Standard Process called Zypan. And it's really beneficial and has a lot of nutrients for the stomach and the pancreas. And what I've seen when we've put kiddos on Zypan is that they start to ask for more protein at the meal. So that means more hot dog, chicken nuggets, like whatever the protein source is. They start to ask for it because their body knows it can digest it now that it has the support from Zypan. The other thing that happens is since the pancreas is getting supported, often the kiddos start to eat less carbs. Because the carbs are actually breaking down ideally. So they aren't little carb monsters. They'll still eat carbs, but their body goes like, hey, thanks for throwing some carbs in here. We can digest this. We don't need a ton more because we are breaking down what you're giving us. And you see the cravings for certain foods start to change because the body's breaking them down the right way.
Yeah.
So that's what I do for picky eaters.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good question.
I'll pass that on. All right, we've got a chat rolling in on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Zara.
Is that the same person that was chatting a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Right on. Welcome back.
Yep. I think she ended up calling me one time, so
cool.
I can. Let's see. Question is any recommendations for sensitivity to dust?
Dust. Tell me what sensitivities you have. Tell me what happens when you're exposed to dust. This is quite convenient because on Saturday, the workshop that we're doing here is all about airway health. So I feel quite prepared to talk about this if it's affecting your airways. We can also go over eyes, but I want to hear specifically from you.
She said itching only.
Itching only. Where do you itch?
Yeah, where do you itch?
I want to be specific for you. And since dust is one of those things that we are never going to get away from it, this is good for people to know because there's always going to be dust.
Any place of exposure, face and hands.
Oh, okay. So we get itchy at exposure. We're talking about
face and hands specifically.
Face and hands specifically. Okay. Hands is a little tricky for me because there aren't usually openings on hands. So for the dust to just contact the skin and bother it, that one is probably something going on with the intestines. So I'll circle back to that one.
Just an additional little comment here. Dust exposure like hotel rooms or dusty basement.
Ooh. Boy, is my brain going all of a sudden. Okay, I gotta take some notes. Off camera. Off camera. We'll get there. I'll share eventually. So, hotel. Two Boots, you probably know where I'm going with it.
I think so.
Yeah? Right? Is that on screen?
No.
What I wrote over there? Ha 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 ha! You have to wait to find out. Sorry, but I will tell you. All right, not trying to tease. All right, on the face, what I think about often with the face is we have all these mucosal membranes. More specifically, eyes, nose, mouth. So when we are in any environment, there's the potential for the things in that environment, dust being a good example, to get in our eyes, in our nose, in our mouth, and then potentially start to irritate us. Okay. When things fly into our sinuses, for example, it's really commonplace to see that the skin over the sinuses gets irritated. If something flies into our eyes, it's really commonplace to see that the skin on our eyelids and around our eyes gets irritated. Same thing with mouth. Okay? So what I want to do first, for the sake of a person's face when they're reacting to dust or reacting to something in their environment, is protect those mucosal membranes. There's a couple of ways we can do this. So to protect them, a couple of things. First one is whole food vitamin C. So that can mean something as simple as every day you have more produce than you usually have. Because whole food vitamin C is found in kiwis and berries. I'm on a big kiwi kick lately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, do I like kiwis. The weight of my heart right now is through kiwis. Kiwis, berries, citrus. In the veggie world, any root vegetable, any stalk vegetable like celery or asparagus, okay? Produce is your number one source of whole food vitamin C. That is nature designed vitamin C. It is so different from the vitamin C you're going to find at a Walgreens or a Costco or a Sam's Club. Okay. If you really want to step up the game, make sure produce is the first thing you do. Second thing you'd want to do is a supplement by standard process called Cataplex ACP. This is big time mucosal membrane nourishment. It's also really good for fighting inflammation, which if we're getting itchy, there's probably some degree of inflammation taking place. A little goes a long way with Cataplex ACP. It's usually something like 3 to 6 a day for most situations. The other thing we can do to protect mucosal membranes is a wonderful plant called fenugreek. The form I like is from Standard Process, and that supplement is called Fengray, and that can be as little as just 1 or 2 a day. What Fengray does really well is it helps your body produce healthy mucus. Healthy mucus will protect our eyes and our ears and our nose. It'll also protect our genitalia and our rectum. It'll protect our intestines and our lungs. And the idea with good, healthy mucus is it's thick enough to catch things that would bother us and thin enough to move out of the body easily. So it's a very efficient, it's like a Roomba. It's like a Roomba. It's like a little thing that's there to clean up all the time, and it's easy to maintain. Good, healthy mucus is like a Roomba. Remind me to use that more often. Just came up with that one on the fly. So what I'm thinking, for the sake of your face, we would want to make sure that we're doing plenty of produce and maybe mixing some Cataplex ACP and some Fengray by Standard Process. When it comes to your hands, I'm going to say the same 2 things. We're going to add one more thing. That's called dermatrophin PMG. Am I off screen yet?
Nope, you just made it.
Woo! Okay. Dermatrophin PMG, also by Standard Process. Remember, whenever you see PMG in a Standard Process supplement name, that means that you have organ-specific anti-inflammatory support. So in this case, dermatrophin, the key word is derma, as in dermal, as in skin. You have specific support for the skin to help reduce inflammation. Totally safe to do dermatrophin with, Cataplex ACP and Fengray, while you increase your produce intake. Okay? That's if it's dust. Okay? Now we got to go over what I hit on the side of the board. So give me a second. And let me know if I'm answering your question as we go. Okay? Cool. All right. Dust? All right, because you said two things. They really caught my attention. The first was hotel. Okay? Hotels, it's really easy to have chemical exposure inside of hotels. Okay? I'm not even mad at hotels for this because I don't know who was staying in that room before me. And I am certain that since I don't know who was there before, I don't want any remnants of that person in the room. So they're going to use some chemicals and clean things really deep down and really aggressively, and I'm okay with that. It's just part of the territory that comes with going to a hotel. But sometimes those chemicals they use inside of the hotel to do that deep cleaning can be very irritating just if they land on your skin. You don't even have to breathe them in deeply. Just contact can start to bother the skin. The supplements I mentioned before would be very good. But there's another thing I like to do. When there's chemical stress in the body, I use a lot of parotid PMG by Standard Process. This is really effective at helping the body clear out chemical stressors. I like to use that one a lot. I often take it preemptively when I travel, because if I'm going to a hotel, I know I'm going to have chemical exposure aside from the smell of the pool inside the hotel. Remember, if you can smell something, it's inside your body. You only have scent receptors inside your body. They are not on the surface of you. If you can smell it, it's in you. I know I'm going to have chemical exposure when I go to a hotel, so I start taking parotid PMG a few days before I go to a hotel, the whole time I'm there and for a few days after. That could also help your itchy skin. Next thing you said was you mentioned basements. And yes, there could be dust in the basement, just like there could be dust inside the hotel, but I also have a lot of attention in basements on mold. Mold likes really specific circumstances: dark, wet, and warm. Mold loves that. Most basements have that. They're dark, they're wet, and they have some degree of heating, especially in the winter, and that helps promote mold, makes it easy for mold to continue to exist. Mold just floating in the air can absolutely irritate your skin on your hands and your face. It just landing on your skin, it can cause an irritation. Before I mentioned the Cataplex ACP, the Dermatrophin, and the Fengray, all those things stand. But for mold, I also like to use Zymex by Standard Process. This is an incredible little supplement. It was actually designed to help weaken and break down mold inside the body so that your immune system can do really good work completely obliterating it and then flushing it from your system. I do strongly recommend taking Spanish black radish in general, but especially with Zymex. That is an incredible combination when somebody is dealing with mold issues. If you're going to visit somebody, I've had clients do this, and you know that they have that musty kind of smell in their house or their basement, and you know you're going to be exposed to that, you can acutely take Zymex and Spanish black radish for a few days before you go visit them, while you're visiting them, and then for a few days afterwards, just to help your body counter any exposure to mold that you may have.
Does it matter if it's the capsules or the wafers for the Zymex?
Does not.
Okay.
I'll tell you the only time so Zymex comes in a capsule form, you just swallow it, or a wafer. Yeah.
Okay.
Or a wafer form that you can just chew it up. The only time I really prefer the wafers is when we detect that the Zymex is needed for something going on in the mouth or the throat. So that the wafer is getting chewed up, the active part of the supplement is actually exposed to your mouth and your throat as you're swallowing the chewed up wafer, compared to a capsule that's going to fly right past your mouth. What's in the capsule, the active part, is not going to actually hit your mouth or your throat.
Okay.
Did that answer the question?
All good information. She also wanted to add, yes, I also have a history of eczema, and that this hotel specifically was dusty, she said. Yeah. She switched to a cleaner one and skin flare went away.
Cool. I'm really glad to hear it got better. Anybody with a history of eczema, I strongly encourage looking at dermatrophin PMG. That is incredible skin nourishment for people dealing with things like eczema and psoriasis. Safe to use long term. It doesn't interact with prescriptions. It's good stuff. Thank you for your question.
All right. Now we have a couple questions over at the Instagram.
That's how it went last week.
This one's from Erica.
Yeah.
She wants to know the difference between cravings for sugar and cravings for salty foods.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, time to make a Venn diagram. What color do I want to use for the Venn diagram? Purple sounds good.
That's what color I was thinking.
Okay, cool. Same wavelength.
Okay.
Boop. So this is going to be sweet. I can do this better. Bear with me while I dork out. I promise I'm going to answer your question. Stop me when you know what I'm doing.
Heart. Pac-Man.
Batman.
Oh.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Well, oh.
Right, because red plus blue equals purple. You're welcome.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be here all week. All right, so sweets cravings. Okay. Salty cravings. Like everything I say around here, this is based on clinical experience. Sweet cravings. The body is usually looking for a quick fuel. Needs quick fuel. What do I mean by quick fuel? Proteins and fats digest and get processed by our body at a slower rate than most carbohydrates, especially sweets. So often when someone's having a sweets craving, their body needs a quick fuel. Maybe their blood sugar's starting to go down. Maybe they didn't eat enough that day and their physical output exceeded their caloric input. But often, they need some kind of quick fuel. Okay. When we have salty cravings, it most commonly indicates the need for sodium, which is really good for our adrenal glands, really good for our kidneys. It is a necessary nutrient, not table salt, but the mineral sodium is really important for a lot of parts of our bodies to actually perform the correct way. Okay? So the biggest things I see, sweets, you need quick fuel. Salty is the need for sodium. Where there's an overlap between the two is almost always stress. Okay? Because during times of stress, we may stress eat. And I meet people all the time who stress eat salty. They'll eat the entire bag of tortilla chips. They'll eat the 2 bags of popcorn. They want the French fries at the drive-thru, okay? I'll also meet people all the time with the sweets cravings. They want the chocolate, they want the Twizzlers, they want the Skittles. Real quick side note, Skittles has the most dramatically negative influence on blood sugar out of pretty much any store-bought candy. So do me a favor by doing yourself a favor and dodge Skittles. Okay? But whether your stress response involves wanting sweet things like ice cream and candy or salty things like chips and popcorn, stress is that underlying thing. It's what they have in common. So cravings can tell us a little bit about what you're digesting also. If a person can sit down and just eat an incredible amount of sweets, they probably don't actually digest what's in that product very well. Because if they did, you would ingest a certain amount of it, and your body would go, hey, that's plenty. We're going to break all this down for you. That's all we need. Thank you so much. But if you're not digesting it, the body's going to ask for more and more of it because it says, I know you're chewing, but we're not getting everything that we thought you were. So keep sending some more down here. With the salty, you could take that just as far, but I would say it's the body looking for that mineral sodium. So if your stomach acid isn't very potent, this is the point I want to make. If you're craving salty stuff, it's often your stomach needs a boost. If you are craving sweets and you tend to eat a lot of them when you do have them, it is often pancreas or gallbladder. And what do they have in common? Well, when it comes to stress, there's a certain set of glands we expect. Adrenals. So I'd say cravings can tell us a little bit about what you're feeling and what's going on inside your body in terms of nutritional needs. Does that answer your question? Just waiting?
Yeah.
Cool. Did anybody comment on YouTube since we last checked?
Not YouTube, just a thank you from
How do you say it?
Zara.
I want to say it right.
No.
I got to study it so I do it right.
I think, yeah, I don't know. Zara. I think Zara.
Zara?
When I talked to her on the phone, I think she just called herself
Zara. Cool.
Okay. Now, this one I might need help with. Nicole here is asking a question, and I don't know if there's a typo, because I don't know what...
Excuse me, I'm going to go look.
Yeah, I don't know what Spymex is.
Maybe Menzymex? Or in Spanish black radish, something that could be taken long term. We got a bunch of good questions. All right, Nicole, I want to answer that. We think when you said Spymex, you meant Zymex. And we think when you said SPR, you meant SB as in black R. Yes, safe to take long term.
Oh, from before when we...
Yep.
Okay.
Zymex and Spanish black radish is something I've had clients on for longer than a year before. In those circumstances, it's usually when they had unavoidable mold exposures. One of them was a client who worked at the Milwaukee Zoo, and the animals that she cared for, the places that those animals lived, there was always wet sawdust, there was always partially broken down food, water, all that stuff. So there was always mold. She wasn't getting a new job. She was really good at her job. So we used Zymex and Spanish black radish long term so she could stay employed without getting sick.
Yeah. As long as you have that up there, she asked another question here about as far as salt for food, what kind of salt do you recommend?
Would you please?
Yes.
Thank you. There's one brand of salt I particularly like, and it's because it's not just sodium. And it's not just, it sounds like a happy maraca coming in here.
Mm-hmm.
The microphones pick that up. It's called Premier Pink Salt. We always have it here in the office. Just a really incredible salt. So what's in here, the reason it's pink, it's naturally pink. It's half Hawaiian salt. And in the islands of Hawaii, you can find all sorts of different colored beaches. There's black beaches, there's red beaches, there's your typical beige kind of beaches. So the Hawaiian salt that's in this product is made out of red clay, or red clay sand, I should say. So it naturally has a light pink kind of red color. And then they mix it with Australian salt, Australian sea salt. And the reason they do that, what naturally occurs inside of Australian sea salt is missing in Hawaiian sea salt, and vice versa. So if you put the two of them together, it gives you everything you're looking for in terms of a quality source of sodium. Now I want to dork out about this for a second, so I'm going to erase what's on here, okay? We do get a lot of questions about salt because for a long time salt was pretty bastardized. It was often called a problem. It was an issue. It's going to raise your blood pressure and cause bloating and water retention. And that was a misnomer. So most table salt is kiln dried, that's like a super oven, at 5,000 degrees.
Whoa.
Yeah, okay? Don't eat anything that's cooked at 5,000 degrees. That's a bad time, okay? After we cook anything at 5,000 degrees, what's left over is an irritant. So here's the misnomer about the whole thing. They said that they said that sodium would cause bloating and water retention and high blood pressure. False. Salt that's been cooked at 5,000 degrees will do all those things. Sodium on its own typically doesn't do those things. Inside of the pink salt, and I got to write about pink salt with the pink marker. So otherwise, why do I have a pink marker? All right, pink salt. Not kiln dried, so no kiln. Okay, just dried by the sun. It's really cool if you want to Google this. They basically lay out giant screens and they collect a little bit of water and they leave it out exposed to the sun, and the water evaporates and what's left behind is the minerals from the water. And then they collect that and they grind it up and put it in here. It's pretty cool. Very natural process. All right, so in one serving, of pink salt, just so you know, that is 0.6 grams. So it is less than a gram. The sodium content in here is 230 milligrams. Another way of saying that is 0.23 grams. Why does all this matter? When you buy table salt, and most salts used in restaurants, it is almost purely sodium. When you use this product, only about a third of it is sodium. And the rest of what's in here is other minerals. It's other trace minerals that help your body use sodium, that help your body process sodium, that help sodium go to work inside your body. So when you get pink salt, it's pretty incredible because it's not going to irritate your body. And the sodium that's in here comes along with a bunch of helpers, so it's really easy for your body to use this. Last but not least, my favorite part, it's a 1-to-1 ratio for any salt in any recipe, whether it's baking or cooking. You just use it like normal salt. It's just better for you.
It's yummy.
Yeah. Very good question, Erica.
That wasn't Erica.
That wasn't Erica.
That was Nicole.
Nicole, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah. All right. We got another question here by Mark, who was in to see you earlier.
Oh, cool.
He wants to know, is there such a thing as taking too much vitamin D supplements?
There most certainly is. Let's talk about it. All right, so vitamins basically come in two categories. There are fat-soluble vitamins, and there are water-soluble vitamins. I'm mixing up caps. We're going to have fun later. All right, fat-soluble vitamins are going to be your A, your D, your E, your K. When you're looking at your water-soluble vitamins, those are going to be your B's and your C. Okay? Okay. I'm going to fix the caps now or it's going to distract me. There we go. Vitamin D falls into this category. One of the things that happens with fat-soluble vitamins, if you get too much of it, they start to get stored in the body. Now, that's not a super bad thing necessarily. If you have plenty of fat cells on your body, the body can store them inside of those. That's pretty cool. It may also try to store them in the liver. That can end up bothering your liver a little bit if you get too much of it. inside of the liver, where it starts to mess people up is if they start a workout program and they have been taking too much vitamin D and it's been getting stored in their fat cells, and those fat cells start to get burned off, it is very likely that they will acutely have a big dump of vitamin D into their system, and that can get real weird for the body in balancing all of its chemistry. So because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin and may get stored in the body, there is such a thing as taking too much compared to the water-soluble ones. For the most part, if you take too much of these, you're just going to pee it out. Then it's not really going to mess with you. Vitamin D, man, has been really popular for a long time. Really popular. I've seen doses that range pretty dramatically from as little as 200 IU or international units per day all the way up to 20,000.
Oh, or even 50,000, I think I've seen.
I think they do that one once a week. That's scary too.
Yeah.
Because this is per day. Strongly recommend getting vitamin D checked on blood work. It's a pretty good way to check vitamin D levels. I also want you to keep in mind that vitamin D comes from a bunch of your foods. Sources of vitamin D inside foods are going to be things like egg yolks, butter, organ meats, bone-in meats like a tomahawk steak, and dark meats like chicken thighs. Most people I meet that have a vitamin D deficiency on blood work eat these foods, but they do not do it consistently. And consistency is the name of the game with nutrition. You don't necessarily have to get a big amount of things in a given day, but if every day you provide these nutrients to your body, what ends up happening is that your body goes like, oh yeah, we got this steady stream of this nutrient coming in, so I'll start a process that needs that nutrient because the person operating this body has been really steady with providing that. Did that answer your question, Mark?
Nicole is following up, I think, on the D question. How can you determine if you are taking too much?
The blood work is my favorite way. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to muscle test all my clients on vitamin D and see what their daily dose is. But keep in mind that muscle testing a supplement doesn't tell us the amount that's already in your body. It's just going to give us info on if your body wants that supplement day in and day out. So I can test somebody for a vitamin D supplement, but I would never be able to muscle test somebody to determine their actual vitamin D level in their blood. I would be very hesitant to work with somebody who claimed that they could muscle test vitamin D levels in the blood. And if I did meet that person, I would very simply meet them with a random person, have them muscle test the person and declare the vitamin D level, and then immediately have the blood draw done to check the vitamin D level to confirm. That's what I would do.
Okay. That's all good.
We hear back from Mark?
We have another question from Mark about the pink salt.
Okay, let's do it.
Back to the salt. He would like to know, why is Premier pink salt better than Himalayan pink salt?
Yes, Mark, my man. All right. So Himalayan. I'm going to even go a step further, and I'm going to throw in the Celtic salt. I'm also going to throw in the Utah not Dead Sea, the dried up salt lakes. So I'm just going to say Salt Lake. All right, so these are different salts from all over the world. So Himalayan sea salt is obviously from the Himalayas. Okay, Hawaiian and Australian, I think that's self-explanatory. Celtic stuff tends to be from Northern Europe, Northwestern Europe. And then Salt Lake stuff tends to be from kind of out west in the United States of America. And every part of the world is naturally going to have different minerals with the sodium inside of the salt it makes. Celtic salt tends to be kind of gray in color and also tends to have more manganese than other salts. And that's just because that manganese, which is a mineral, is in abundance in the part of the world where Celtic salt tends to come from. Okay. The Hawaiian and the Australian, we already said that it's only 1/3 sodium. So there's all sorts of trace minerals. There's a nice diversity. And it used to be that Himalayan was known for its big diversity. But in our modern world, there's quality control concerns. In Himalayan, are they digging deep enough to really get to the good stuff that has that nice diversity of minerals? And is it being corrupted because it's popular, like olive oil is nowadays in Italy? For those of you that don't know, there's a big concern that different organized crime organizations have been manipulating olive oil for a long, long time and selling junk oils that are olive flavored under the guise of being this, wonderful organic, picked ripe off the vine olive oil from Italy, but it's not. In recent years, concerns about Himalayan salt have come up that the same thing is taking place, that low quality salt is being colored and sold as Himalayan salt for the sake of financial gain. So my comfort level with the premier research labs versus Himalayan or Celtic or Salt Lake is that we have a trusted company who is confirming the sourcing of the salt, and then we know that it isn't getting messed with. Does that answer your question?
I guess I'm curious what the Salt Lake thing is that you couldn't think of. Is that?
It's in Utah.
It is in Utah.
So Utah was, man, this is taking me back to, is it geology or geography in school? There's obviously Salt Lake in Utah. That's why there's Salt Lake City inside of Utah. But if we go back thousands and thousands of years, the lake was way larger before it dried up, and the water was salty. And when the water evaporated, the minerals were left behind. And one of the abundant minerals left behind when that lake dried up was sodium.
I see.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Is it real salt?
That's one of the brands.
That's a brand.
That's a brand, yeah. There's a couple of brands that get salt from Salt Lake.
Okay. I was familiar with that. Interesting.
I really like diversity of nutrients because our modern food has had a number of the good things just stripped out of it.
Yeah.
So I like getting as many different nutrients as I can, even from things like condiments like salt.
All right.
Answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. These are some great questions. What do we got on time too, Boots?
7:54.
Wow, coming up on an hour. Cool.
And no other questions right now.
All right, gang, that's the deal. The Wednesday weekly workshops go until no questions roll in. CN, I'm sure you're going to watch this. Reach out to us. Let's get you signed up for your free consult. Now, we got to figure out what the next benchmark is before we give away something free.
Okay.
Yeah. There's something out there. We'll let that percolate. We never guessed black currency doll was going to be our first video to reach 1,000 views. Never ever would I have guessed. Anyways, you wonderful humans, thank you for watching. If you have any questions whatsoever, you have concerns, you want to ask something here for next week, and you don't want to have to remember to ask it, just contact us. You can call us. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube by looking for DDD Wellness. And you can always email us, 3dnewberlin@gmail.com. I'm not trying to brag, but apparently there's 2 people in France who watch my YouTube videos, and they've been emailing me questions, or I just admitted publicly that I'm getting duped. Okay? I'll see you next Wednesday.